G'day expats and welcome to Expat Chat, episode 5?
I believe so.
I think it's episode 5,
Yeah.
so g'day to everyone out there. Got a fair bit to cover today, so we'll try and keep it nice and concise. James, just want to give us a quick run through what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so I want to touch base on, obviously, firstly, the budget that was released, just a few points. The fact that we've got a federal election coming up quite soon.
Big one.
What else do we want to go through? I suppose some recent nominations.
Yes, no, definitely, that's worth pointing out.
Yep, and obviously just a few other things, just I suppose Facebook reviews as well online.
Yes.
And some recent emails that you'll be receiving from other super funds about your insurance.
Yep, there's some changes there.
Yep, and then lastly, just some basic insights on our Expat Insight survey.
Yep, the survey, how it's going. Fantastic.
Exactly right.
So, just for the usual disclaimer for the folks out there in podcast land, if you're watching this on video on our YouTube channel, you can make yourself a cup of tea. For those on the podcast, any of the stuff we talk about today is general in nature. It's not personal advice, so we've got to put those disclaimers out there. We don't like getting sued.
No, that's right.
Haven't been sued in the past and don't plan to get sued in the future, so just want to make sure there's no confusion there for everyone. So let's get the show on the road, as I say.
Yeah, let's kick start. I suppose main thing I want to talk about just briefly, the budget. Obviously, we did the webinar recently, or I should say, you did the webinar recently.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to be on holidays.
Yeah, that's right. Half your luck.
New Zealand was great, by the way.
Yeah.
No, but federal budget. I suppose the main thing that I really liked the fact that they've increased that active work test.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's a huge one, especially with I suppose older age or older people working overseas for a longer period. They can now extend that period that they're working overseas because they can look at actually bringing back their super fund at a later time.
That's right.
So they've increased it now to, I suppose, the last age you can...
66.
It's 66. It's 66 means I can trigger the bring forward rule at 66? I believe it is.
Yeah. So up until the age of 66, you can use the bring forward rule, and also you don't need to meet the work test.
Yes.
So whereas before, just explain to those out there.
Take a few steps back.
Yep. Let's take 2 steps back.
Yeah.
So if every year, pari passu, as the lawyers like to say, if nothing changes, you're allowed to put $100,000 a year into super.
Yep.
You can use what's called the bring forward rule, which means you can do 3 lots of 100.
Yes.
But for 1 year, but then you can't use any for the next 2 years. And up until these changes were announced, you could only do that up until the age of 64.
Yes.
And then from 65 onwards, you could only put in 100,000 per year.
Yes.
So now they're saying up until the age of 66, you can use the bring forward rule.
Yeah, great.
And also you don't need to meet the work test. Now the work test has never been that laborious for people to do.
No.
40 hours worth of work in 30, in a 30-day period. I've always seen some pretty creative.
Yeah, well, there's no minimum requirement on the wage rate or anything like that.
No minimum requirement. I've actually never seen any way of lodging any of those forms to justify it.
Well, it's a declaration to the super fund.
It is.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
So whether something actually gets sent to the ATO, I'm not sure of, but it's mainly up to the super fund to make sure they receive that declaration so they can credit the account appropriately.
That's right.
And just again, I mean, the type of contributions we're referring to are non-concessional.
Yep. So, after tax dollars.
Exactly right. So that's great. So technically speaking, age 66, if I've got a foreign super fund that I want to bring home, I can bring that home. And then obviously I can contribute up to 300,000 at 66.
Yes,
which is great. So that's a great amount to get in after that age as well. So
because it's getting harder and harder these days. The good old days we had 180 per year,
yeah, that's right.
And often when people are repatriating back to Australia, they've either built up a nice foreign super fund or they've had property or some sort of investments overseas that are quite lumpy. And when they come back, we try to squeeze them into the super system. And the lower that annual limit gets, the longer the period it takes us to get that money in.
Yeah, exactly right.
Which can also present problems too with the 6-month rule with a foreign pension. There's all those sort of permutations. So, I like those big fat, opportunities to be able to get good lump sums in. Because if you don't, you're stuck with money outside of super. As a resident, super still is the best place to hold assets in an allocated pension phase. And look, it's something that all these sort of changes are better. I like to see an expansion of opportunities, not a contraction.
Yeah, exactly right. And I suppose, even though it's creating that window, you're right, the caps have changed significantly over the years. I mean, back when we could actually throw as much as we want into super, that was amazing.
Yep.
And I suppose people that have these large pensions, they bring it home, they've got to do it within the 6-month period. Obviously, that's tax-free, that's great. Take it in the individual name. And then if they can only get technically 300,000 in 1 year, then, or 100,000, and then the 300,
yep.
So 400 over a few months.
400 in the calendar year,
yep. Yep. And then they've got to wait 2 financial years. So, if they're bringing back, say, $1 million, and some of them will be. I mean, you see pilots with those sort of things, especially over in Hong Kong and those areas. What do they do with the funds then? I mean, do they put it in a family trust, invest it, and they've got, a new tax vehicle and then wind it down over time?
Yeah, they're just putting band-aids on a lot of things when in actual fact the end goal is to get the money into super.
Yeah, exactly right. But we won't delve too much more into that.
Yep.
I mean, was there anything further on the federal budget that,
Look, I think it was definitely a budget that was designed to be not too invasive.
So it was a cautious budget?
It was election budget.
Yeah.
There was nothing major there. Obviously, actually one thing I did like, and this doesn't affect non-residents, but it may affect you when you come back, was the creation of that mega bracket. Yep. 30% from 45,000 to 200.
Yeah, I think that's by 2024.
2024, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic because so many times, and I know this personally from friends and family, when someone gets a pay rise or a promotion, and yes, they go up, but in actual fact, their take home doesn't.
Yeah.
And they're almost getting penalised for doing well. Yeah. Whereas, when you look at the last time that the brackets were sort of structured the way they were, $100,000 salary was a lot of money. These days, $100,000 salary isn't as much with the cost of living rising.
Yeah.
And I actually had a meeting with a journalist from the Australian Financial Review in Sydney. We did an article together.
Yeah.
And one of the discussions was, when you look at the average take-home weekly salary, the multiple of when the top tax bracket kicks in, and you look at, I can't remember the exact stats. I'll put a link in the show notes in the description below to the article. But when you look at, I think it's something like the US might be 3 times.
Yep.
Australia was like 3 times.
We're pretty high.
Yeah.
We're the highest.
Whereas the other ones were like 1.4.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that relaxation and that, and actually give people the ability to have the incentive to work more.
Yeah.
You go to countries that have high productivity and great tax benefits like Singapore and Hong Kong, flat rate.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what we're actually talking about is 2/3 of the workforce having a flat rate of tax of 30%. Yeah, I applaud it.
Oh, absolutely. I encourage it. I can't wait till it comes in, but I'll wait until we're there.
Yes, that's right. It's going to be an interesting election. It's going to be a long... Actually, it's today's the 18th of April and 18th of May, so it's 1 month today.
Yeah.
And look, it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people put Labor in front up until now.
I know, I've seen that.
However, given Mr. Shorten's gaffes with regards to no super changes and then backpedaling on that recently, and he's done a couple of those sort of things. Yeah. People are sort of saying, well, maybe he's not a shoo-in.
Yeah.
So it could come down to the numbers, and that actually dovetails nicely into another conversation we're going to have today is talk about voting as an expat.
Yep.
We just did a blog post today, and we're not saying whether you should or shouldn't. That's up to you. Obviously, it's not only just that. It's there's a lot of debate about tax implications of voting. Are you severing ties from Australia if you're still voting here? And those who take the extreme non-resident view sever completely.
Yep.
If you do want to vote, essentially the way it works, and have a look at the blog post. I will put it in the notes below. Mm-hmm. Essentially, you've got 2 options.
Yep.
Well, actually 3. So the first option is if you are going to be overseas for less than 6 years.
Yep.
You can elect. You can put yourself down as an overseas elector.
Yeah.
And that means you can still vote, both federally and state, I believe, different states, but I'm pretty sure it's state as well. If you plan to be overseas permanently, or you want to cut yourself off totally, then you remove yourself from the electoral roll. And we put links into the blog post so you can follow along there.
Yep.
If you do, if you are, and then the other option as well is if you have passed that 6 years. And you still want to vote, you can actually email the Australian Electoral Commission and ask for permission, and they'll give you a year-by-year allowance to do that. So I don't know if anyone's done that, but apparently it's an option. So if you are registered to vote or you do want to vote, you've virtually got two options. The first option is to go to a Australian mission, consulate. Well, putting it there's three classifications of Australian missions. So embassy, consulate, and one of the other ones. Anyway, not all of them do offer it, but a lot of them do offer the ability to do in-person voting. Once again, in the blog post, we've actually put a Excel spreadsheet URL that the Australian Electoral Commission has provided. And you can click on that. Excel spreadsheet opens, and that tells you the different missions that do offer in-person voting. The alternative is you can do a postal vote, and essentially the postal votes get sent out as soon as all the contenders have been announced and the ballot papers are prepared. But there is a time frame of how far or how close to the election you can get by the time you get the postal vote to you and be able to get it back. So essentially what you have to do, you have to have voted either on the day or before the election. You'd vote and you have to have someone to witness it. That witness can be either an Australian citizen or a list of different people who work for Commonwealth countries. So defence people, public servants, but it has to be a Commonwealth country. So once you've got that, and then you voted, then you post it back to the Electoral Commission, and they have to receive it 13 days after. And if it doesn't get received within 13 days, then it doesn't count.
Who knew it would be so complex?
Well, it's the government. Of course it's going to be complex, you know. They're not going to make things easy. So.
I was hoping you'd be able to register online. You'd get sent a text, a unique link. You could go to your unique link online and vote just like that, but it's not.
Well, this is the government that tried to do the census online too, don't forget. That didn't work, so...
No, I think a lot of Jedi religions were getting...
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Yeah, Jedi was a very popular religion, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, well, that's good. And, I mean, we'll put the information then.
Yep, all in the show notes below. And have a look. Certainly, you know, whether you do or not, that's another discussion for another day, and not even with us. You know, that's a personal thing.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so...
Okay, Brett, so moving on, just want to briefly touch base on some recent nominations.
Yes, so congratulations, James.
Thank you.
Just let everyone know, James has been nominated in this year's Money Management Fund Manager of the Year Awards under two categories. Financial Planner of the Year and also two Young Achiever of the Year. So... Right. I'd love to be able to call myself Young Achiever of the Year, but unfortunately I don't meet the criteria. But
you're under 35, aren't you?
Yeah, I wish, mate. I was on the dark side of 40, unfortunately. So, but well done. I mean, I think it's always, you know, I always say to everyone, I don't think people really realise how much work goes on behind the scenes. Clients have an idea, but even they only probably see 10% of the varnished version. So there's a lot of long hours, a lot of late nights, a lot of research, a lot of... Yeah, pretty much elbow grease and hard work. So, you know, congratulations for being recognised. And 16th of May.
Yeah, exactly right. That's when the awards dinner is.
So mate, best of luck for that. So, just wanted to let everyone know. I think it's important to celebrate the achievements out there, and that's a big one.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. That's great. Okay, so now I want to move on to a recent email that one of my clients actually received.
Okay.
It's about insurance.
Yes, a lot of changes here.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I mean, they were announced, was it last year?
Last year.
Yeah, it was last year, about inactive accounts. I think they've changed the months. I think it's 16 months now. If there's inactivity on a superannuation account for 16 months, then they're sending out emails to know whether you want to confirm or keep your insurance valid on that account.
And you have to actually opt in, don't you?
Yes. So, most super funds are sending out, I suppose, what you call a templated email to everyone. If that account's been inactive for 16 months, inactivity just means, you know, no super contributions most of the time. If no super contribution has been received for 16 months, they deem it to be inactive. They send you an email saying, listen, we've noticed this, there's been inactivity on this account for over 16 months now. We would like to know whether you would like to keep the insurance on your account. If so, please reply with this templated text, which you just control copy, send it back to that email. If not, please send us back with this, you know, text. And essentially, you really need to be careful what you're sending back, because if you've got insurance and you're overseas and it is covering you, even though you're a non-resident, you don't want to cancel it. If you cancel it, make
Some's better than none.
Exactly right. If you are going to cancel it, then make sure you've got other cover somewhere else. You know, it does get to a point where, you know, if you've been overseas for 10 years, most Australian insurers probably won't touch you at all anymore. So just be mindful when that email coming out that you understand whether you are currently covered with that provider, even though you're a non-resident, and whether you want to maintain it, and do reply to them. Don't just sweep it under the rug, put it to the junk folder.
And also, don't just assume that your insurance does cover you.
Yes.
Just because you're paying for it doesn't mean that should something happen, they get it paid out.
Yeah, exactly. Check the validity.
Look, it is, and there's an article in the Sydney Morning Herald today, pretty sad article about the guy, cancer guy.
Yeah.
So he had group cover, and we've talked in the past about the problems with group cover, and essentially, he was deemed terminal.
Yep.
By doctors, specialists, everyone under the sun.
Got the medical certificates.
Yep, and sent it off to local government super.
Yep.
To get a payout because he wanted to. He's got, I think, he had 2 kids, 17 and 12.
Yep.
Wanted to take them on a holiday, one last family holiday. Didn't happen.
No.
So it's very sad, and the super funds in the general sense make it so difficult.
Yeah.
Death is death.
Yeah.
You can't argue it. So, and unfortunately, the super funds have 6 months.
Yeah.
To be able to turn it around.
Even if you don't have 6 months.
That's exactly right. So, pretty. I'm just going to use a bit of swearing word here.
Yeah.
Pack of bastards.
Yeah.
To rob that gentleman of his time with his kids, having one last hurrah.
Yeah.
And he still had a mortgage. So, it's not like he had money and you go off on holiday. He was still trying to meet his mortgage payments and all these sort of things. So, some of them out there are a pack of bastards.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I think it gets to the point where, look at our population, our ageing population. Some piece of legislation should be created.
100%.
Just to, I suppose, bring down those timeframes. There should be a dedicated team.
Framework.
It should be within weeks, to be honest. It's
exactly.
not that hard. You're liaising with the administrator, the trustee, and then obviously the relevant medical parties. Apparently, from what I understand, the individual, I can't remember or can't recall his name right now, but I think within the first week he had given everything to them.
Yes.
And then he was waiting months and months. Every time he called the super fund, he'd get a different person. There was no reference number. He'd have to go through the whole, I suppose, deal of going through multiple people.
Yep.
They would have to pay a catch up and go, okay, this is where this is at. I'll check it on an update. They wouldn't call him back. Just over and over again, which is just painful.
From memory, he had 2 policies. One was Sun Super.
Yep.
Sun Super paid out within 3 weeks.
Yeah, amazing.
And worked with his financial advisor.
Yep.
And got the whole thing done.
Yep.
Local government super refused to talk to his advisor, would only talk to him. So instead of this guy spending quality time with his family, he was stuck on the phone talking to call centres, and every time he rung up, he had to explain himself again.
Yep.
The guy's sick. Now, the last thing he's got to want to do is repeat himself 50 times over. When we're healthier, that's the last thing we want to do.
Exactly right.
So, look, it angers me, and that's one of the reasons why I want to bring it up, because people have almost a unsubstantiated belief that they'll be looked after.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you and I see quite often the case. It's not the case.
No, not the case at all. And I suppose it's probably another reason we've just gone through a Royal Commission.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Charging a dead person insurance premiums.
Yes. Actually, I saw one the other day of, and this is by the by, and I always like to segue off and go off on a different tangent sometimes, but this is quite funny.
Oh, we love it, Brett. Come on.
So a colleague had a client who died.
Yeah.
And they had direct debits on their account.
Yep.
For house insurance for a house they sold back in August.
Oh, wow.
So this colleague is actually one of the executives of the will, and he's been working with the banks, with the insurance company, for the last 6 months to try and turn off the direct debits.
Yeah.
And the insurance company has come back to him and said 2 things: A, they should have turned it off before they died.
Yeah.
Oh. Don't know how you do that. Okay, rightio. I'm dead now, so please come back from the grave and turn it off
before I died.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And B, we're probably breaching the rules anyway, but we want a probate. We want all these sort of things to turn off a direct debit, and the direct debit was probably $130, $140 a week.
Oh my god.
A month.
Yeah.
And so another good example of just getting a house in order with all these sort of things. This guy had a POA. This guy had all the things right.
Yeah.
And it's still gone to pot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on. Just one thing that I suppose we want to touch base on is reviews, Facebook.
Yes. Now this is a good one. So one of the things we turned on recently was our Facebook reviews.
Yes.
Now for the last 3 years, we've actually had a review service for clients.
Yeah.
It's called Advisor Ratings. It's like TripAdvisor for financial planners.
Yep.
And it's a moderated review,
yeah.
which means that anyone can review us, but if they give it a bad rating, it doesn't go automatically in your file.
Yep.
They seek more information from you,
Yep.
whether that person's a client or not, what the circumstances were,
Yep.
which is great. And people have found a lot of comfort in what our clients have had to say about us. Whether it was the right thing or wrong thing, we've now turned on the review option on our Facebook page.
Yes,
which is unmoderated.
Well, I mean, some of the things that are on there are comical, to be honest.
So unfortunately, just to explain to everyone out there, anyone can leave a review, and please don't do it if you don't have to. If you've got nothing nice to say, or you haven't been a client, or just got too much spare time, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have.
Online trolls.
Online trolls. And essentially what it's meant is we've had a number of comments on there from people who we've never even heard of. One guy in South Africa, one guy in Qatar.
Well, that guy that wasn't even making sense, but it wasn't even at us at all. It was just...
Yes, apparently Facebook stole his money, so he was very angry and giving everyone a 1-star rating, and So not sure what happened there with him, and we wish you all the best in the future. But the problem is we can't actually get rid of those reviews, which unfortunately puts us in a very bad light.
Yeah, when I suppose it's not a true reflection of us at all.
Well, it's not. I mean, everyone who listens to the podcast and watches on YouTube and Facebook, they would have seen. They know the value we bring to expats.
Yeah, that's right.
So what we'd like to do is, it may take us a year or 2 years for Facebook to remove these reviews. In the meantime, if you are finding any value from what we do, we'd love you to go and have a look at our Facebook page. I'll put the links in the show notes below. If you do think we're doing a good job, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
On Facebook it says, do you recommend Atlas or not? Simple question, yes or no.
Yeah.
We'd like you to yes, of course. And just put a bit in there about the bits we're doing. Some people, like we had a lady the other day put on there that she's loving the podcast.
Yeah.
So it can be something simple as that. But obviously, we want to drown the trolls out. I can assure you, they're not clients, they've never been a client, and wouldn't never want them to be a client.
No.
But I think we'd have to be more of a psychologist than a client on financial advice with some of them. But
one of the trolls is on his actual Facebook page, and in the last, I think, few weeks, he's reviewed over 100 financial firms around the world.
Yep.
So
let me guess, and rated them down.
Yeah, I know, all like 1 star, and so he's on, I think, a bit of a power trip, and
he's an angry man.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm not sure what he's doing. So, and also too, for those on the podcast, we'd actually love you to provide a review on the podcast itself. We're trying to, as you've probably seen from the last 5 episodes, really just trying to increase the financial literacy for Australian expats. And the way that other expats get to find out about the podcast is if you give us a thumbs up. Obviously 5 stars is great. And the more we're rated, then surprise, surprise, it'll be recommended to other expats.
Yeah, that's right.
And off we go from there. So if you want to hit pause, on the podcast and do that. If you're watching this via YouTube, you can hit pause as well and give us a thumbs up and maybe a comment in the field below. That'd be fantastic. Social media is an amazing tool that we're able to broadcast at scale.
Yeah.
And essentially, you and I don't get paid to do this.
No.
We're doing this from an altruistic point of view of we want to ensure that everyone has the right information. The government does a shithouse job in educating expats. In actual fact, it's the other way around. They don't want to educate, they want to take. So, we've taken it upon ourselves because no one else has done this to get out there and just broadcast to the 4 corners of the world.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we check the comments regularly. So even if you want to leave questions, even if it's a comment for a question about, can you talk about this next time, please leave it there because it just adds content for us to try and help educate you all.
Yeah.
So that's all.
We think we're covering all the topics, but you might have that one burning question that you've had for the last 5 years.
Yep.
Either there's 1,000 ways you can get hold of us. If you're on the podcast, just drop us an email at info@atlaswealth.com.au.
Yep.
If you're on the YouTube, just write in the comments below.
Yep.
You can also go to our Facebook page while you're doing a review.
Yep.
And send us a message. We talk to clients through Messenger as well too. So
easy.
We're pretty open to getting feedback. If you're on Twitter, send us a tweet, Atlas Wealth Management, or tweet out using the hashtag #ExpatChat, and we'll see that as well too.
I need to get on Twitter.
You do.
It's the final frontier for me.
It is. Look, it's only for the brave. It's like drinking from a fire hose. But you'll tweet something and you come back and things can blow up. So just ask Mr. Trump.
That's right. Seems like the financial markets are tied to his Twitter account. But,
yes.
No, okay, that's good. Okay. So moving on now, I want to touch base on Expat Insight Survey, where we're at right now at the moment. I mean, when are we looking to close it?
Closing it at the end of May.
Yep, okay.
Where I think, from memory, over 2,200 responses, which is fantastic, considering 84 countries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so including... my favourite's there's always a couple pop up in North Korea.
Yep.
So I'm not sure Kim Jong-un is on there. I doubt it.
Yep.
But there are a number of Australians in North Korea.
Yeah.
But also it's amazing. You know, we go through the countries and there's not many countries that we haven't had exposure to.
No, that's right.
You know, and the biggest thing for us is if you want your country to be rated, we need a minimum number of responses.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and I always trip over this phrase, we need the responses to be statistically significant.
Yeah, well, we need.
Don't say that with a few beers on your belt, but the more responses we have, the broader the base we build from.
Yeah.
And then obviously from there we can do some great things, because essentially the questions that a new expat will have moving to a country, they want to hear from other expats.
Yeah, exactly.
Not from a British or American or South African expat.
Yep.
Aussie expats are the fountain of knowledge when it comes to being an Aussie expat in that country.
Exactly.
So once again, there's going to be a link to the survey in the show notes and also the description below. It would mean the world to us if you could go on there and just provide responses. It's 10 minutes of your time. It's anonymous, so don't worry. We're not going to pass this information on to the IRS or the ATO or those sort of people. All we're doing is aggregating the data. And it achieves two things. We're able to get a nice, succinct picture of what it's like to be an expat in that country, both from a career point of view, from a finances point of view, from a family point of view, from a lifestyle point of view. But also, too, there's a gross misunderstanding in Canberra of what an expat is.
Yes.
And I was actually having a chat the other day to the Advance organisation, which they're an amazing organisation. They've got about 22,000 Australian expat members.
Yes.
And they're really trying to educate Canberra as well. So we've got to try and do a bit of work with them down the track.
What is Advance? Just explain Advance, because people probably have never come across them before.
Yeah, look, it's a primarily US/Asian organisation that is it does receive government funding.
Yeah.
And its sole purpose is to embody and support Australian expats, both in company sense and also to employment sense as well. So essentially they're out there, they're beating the drum. They do a lot of great initiatives, and one of the best ones is actually their national awards, where they recognise a lot of the leading expats out there in terms of the fields they're doing. And you look at the list of the luminaries of people who've actually won these awards. We're talking Nobel Peace Prize winners. We're talking amazing. Like just absolute, they're killing it. And they're virtually a great body that's championing the cause for expats, but they need help.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to hopefully step in and do a bit of work with them. And from their point of view, they really look at the softer issues as well too, especially on the repatriation side. The skills migration, not only outbound but returning. And what is a big topic for them and for us as well, for our clients, is the lack of accreditation that expats get when they move back into the Australian workforce.
Yes.
It's amazing how when we hear this from clients, they come back and they've been overseas for 10 years and they've been at direct level, C-suite level. They come back and some of the companies and recruiters just give them zero value for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame, because the Australian economy is 1.7% of the world economy. So if you're brave enough and bold enough and strong enough to go and compete on the world circuit and do well, you should be not only celebrated but embraced when back in Australia. Yeah. So it's something that we're very passionate about. Obviously, we'll provide more information when Advance launch their survey, which is coming out soon, which is purely based on the repatriation side. Yep. We're looking forward to working with them, because the more education we can provide to Canberra.
Yeah, exactly.
With a lot of them, they believe that a expat is a C-suite executive director level on 7 figures flying first class.
Not the case at all.
No, it's not. And we've discussed this before. From last year's survey, the most popular demographic or sector of employment was teaching.
Yeah, education.
And then followed behind that was nurses, and behind that was hospitality.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that it's not going to happen overnight, but the more data we gather, and we've got to do this every year, so it's not just the one flash in the pan.
No.
It's got to be a weight of numbers. Obviously we'd love to double last year's number. Last year we got 1,774 responses.
Yep.
So if we can double it, fantastic. Just 10 minutes of your time would mean the world to us if you go on there and just have a quick look.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, when do you think we'll aim to put out the data, the report? I mean, I know we've got to go through 84 countries essentially.
Yes.
And then on top of that, over probably 3,000 responses by then.
Well, we've got so much spare time, haven't we? So
I wish.
Is there an 8-day week coming up?
Yeah, I need a 10-day.
Being realistic, I'm like to think July.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's a lot of, you can imagine 2,200 responses.
Yeah.
Answering 62 questions.
Yep.
That's a lot of information we have to sort of sort through, and really what we try and do is find a summary of what everyone's saying and find out what the common themes are, and then obviously put it out in a report. Yeah,
okay. No, so that's great. Now I suppose, can you opt in to receive the report, or is it we're just going to make
Yes,
it?
No, at the end. So essentially you can complete the whole survey.
Yeah.
And then the last question is, do you want to receive a copy?
Yeah, okay.
If you do want to receive a copy, just put your details in. If you don't receive a copy, then you know what? You don't have to put your details in. So we never know who you are. And just to give everyone a peace of mind out there, if you do give us your details, we're not going to spam you. The only time you'll get an email from us, if you do go through that channel, is if you ask for a copy of the report. So if you're not on any of our mailing lists for our newsletters and stuff, you only get it one a year, and that's a copy of that report.
Yep, amazing. All right, Brett. Well, I don't have anything else to add today.
No, look, I think we'll have more to talk about in coming weeks.
Yep.
Obviously, as the 18th of May gets closer.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of politicking that's going to happen. A lot of backflips and a lot of promises.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of broken hearts.
I know, it's great to look at the headlines of Financial Review every morning.
You just
shake your head.
You almost want to fast forward to the 17th of May and say, right, give us a synopsis.
Yeah.
That is one thing we'll probably end up doing.
Comparison?
Yeah, comparison. Yeah. As we get closer to the time. We could do one now, but they could change 3 times over.
Well, they will change.
Yeah.
I think on the group that were part of XY, they were talking about, is it worth getting a comparison now? But everyone's like, don't. There's no point.
That's right. They've got to change and change and change. And then Liberals will say this, so therefore Labor will counteract with this.
Yeah.
So we will do one, obviously, in the week leading up to the election.
Yep.
So keep an eye out for that. But we'll keep you guys posted anyway. So
no dramas. Thanks for your time.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.
Speak soon.